No one can stop you.
It's already pressed, Lewis. It's been pressed for 3 seconds. That's the secret.
So the countdown was a fake.
Well,
That's great.
it's a ploy to get you to say something that's going to get you booted out of here. Because you think you got 3 seconds
That
left.
could never happen.
But
Never.
secretly, we're already live. Oh, man, this isn't... I'm turning into that guy who was on my bus. Griffin, you missed that. Oh, man. There's a guy on my bus that was just giggling nonstop. Boom! And we're live. Like, creepy giggling. Like, like very loud giggling, nonstop giggling, and then it would go quiet, and then I'd hear... And he would mutter stuff to himself. And then actually, halfway through the bus ride, he ended up talking to me. I'm like, the dude's totally normal. Mm-hmm. So now I'm confused because I thought maybe, this was a guy that you wouldn't want to have regular conversations with. But he was a totally normal, nice guy. But as soon as we stopped talking, he went back into full giggle mode. And he giggled for like the entire bus ride. For 4.5 hours, he was giggling. All right, Lewis, you want the tweet?
That sounds like a capital idea.
Griffin, do you want the tweet? Because I could post it if you want it.
Isn't it called an
I
X
would like
or
that.
Do you want the X? You want the X factor?
God.
Is that not completely so dumb? I don't know what to call it anymore.
I mean,
do you guys know?
This is the first one that I can't. Like everything else he's done. Plus minus whatever. This is completely ridiculous.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I just can't get behind.
It's just not.
I'm surprised it's taken you this long, but you are coming around, so I won't complain.
I'm still paying for the X Factor. Is that what it's called? The X Factor.
Oh my God.
I have no idea. Okay, let's see here. Let's.
Look, another picture of me in the same T-shirt. That's just great.
Well, it's not the editor's fault that you don't change your clothes, Lewis.
Good grief! I pressed the wrong button. What kind of day has this been?
Okay, I don't know, but you know what? Let's wait for the people to pile in for the next 3 or 4 seconds. Let's just go live. It's 5:30 p.m. No one's gonna show up for this. It's way too late. We got to get going. We got a lot of Apple stuff to talk about. If you're watching and you want to hang out in the chat, now's your time for the shout out. I thought a chicken was walking in here. No, he's hanging out there. We're good. Let's go ahead and queue up Mrs. You Know Who, and we will get this show rolling because we actually have a lot of stuff to talk about here. Oh, Mrs. D. That's not it. Oh, Mrs. D. Oh, I heard your bit about giggling. Oh, yes. I giggle very much. It's good for the soul. Oh, yeah, is that right? Oh, yes, especially after lovemaking with LK. She got us again, Lewis.
Very effective. Very effective.
I never see it coming either. It's
grimace-inducing.
Always gets worked in there. Shout out to MacBook Foe. We're going to get this thing rolling. And thanks for the re-X there, Lewis. I appreciate that. Bring him in with the X Factor. I just saw it.
Re-X. That's a Rex.
Oh, man. Yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing going, Mrs. D, if you don't mind. We got a whole lot of show to do. And Lewis is hungry. He wants to go eat.
Jeez.
He just had like 3 drinks.
No, that's a lie. That is actionable.
Well, it was 1 drink, but how many shots were in it, Lewis?
It was a standard drink.
Yeah,
standard
for Lewis
5
Wallace.
p.m. cocktail.
Okay, so 3 shots. I mean, it was full to the top. I thought you were drinking an iced tea.
That's not true.
All right, let's get this thing rolling.
So many lies. It's just fake news everywhere.
Oh, man. All right, here we go. This show is just going off the rails. We haven't even started yet. In 3.
Didn't take long.
2, 1. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Eric from Last. Joining me today. His office is decorated with Best Editor Awards, darts trophies, and an assortment of beautiful leather horse crops, which he uses to motivate the Cultimac writing team. He's the managing editor of Cultimac. Lewis Wallace is here.
Glad you didn't mention all the other stuff.
Well, I don't want you to get arrested. Also with us, for every $1 he spends on old, outdated Apple devices, he has to spend $2 on marriage counseling so his wife can learn to understand his weird obsession with what she calls old computer garbage. He's neither the first nor the last writer at Cultimac. His name is Griffin Jones.
Have you been talking to my wife? This one's getting a little too real.
I was hoping you would piece that together. Actually, no. I just know that wives don't like when you bring home old tech garbage. As
that is universal truth.
As one who has brought home a few machines myself, you know what I would love to have actually? I have absolutely no place to put it, but I would actually love to get like an old Next computer, and they're super cheap. Like you can get those things on eBay for $75 because no one wants an old piece of tech garbage except for me.
Not the Next computers. Those are expensive.
No, come on, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
A functioning Next Cube or Next Station. I mean, I've been watching them for years. A functioning one is like $800.
Of course you have. Really? Well, I don't really care if
Yeah.
it functions. I just want it as like a aesthetic piece, So Next computer. I swear I saw one that was really cheap. Dude, this person wants $2,500 for theirs. Wow, and it's got it's got 15 watchers too. Did you see the Next Station?
The Next Station, the Next Cube.
Oh, this is the Next Cube. Yeah, so this is the Next Cube 1000 N1000. Wow. Dude, you're right. I can't believe how expensive these things are. This one works too. Okay, but hold on a sec. I know we're already way off the rails. How much do they actually sell for? So, of course, these are the computers that Steve Jobs sold after he was fired from Apple. So it looks like we got some stickers. Next computer empty optical disc pack. No discs. $22 for that. There's no actual computers here.
They still sell for quite a bit of money too. Like that's not an unreasonable price for a complete system, $2,500.
Oh, dude, check out this Next mug, $20. Although I wonder if this is. See, the thing is, you can never tell if these things are original or if they're just somebody remaking them. Because if they're not original, like I'm not paying you $20 for a mug. Dude,
if you just want a few computers as display pieces, I have several non-functioning spares I can send your way.
I bet your wife would love to send those to me free of charge. So here, vintage museum item working Next Station turbo computer, $1,300. That's crazy, man. It's more than a new Mac. Wow, who would have guessed? There's all sorts of Next paraphernalia on here. All right, look, Lewis, this is not what we're here to do.
It's fascinating.
Yeah,
I could
I know,
buy a floppy drive for the Next Station. Wow.
If they had
only $140.
Yeah,
wow.
I know. Well, they're hard to come by these days. If they sold a Blu-ray reader, I actually might buy it. That would be cool to have like a actual Blu-ray reader. I definitely need one of those. But let's see here. Before we dive in, we got a whole lot of Apple stories to talk about. Let's see here. Actually, let me titillate you with this. We're going to be talking about the next generation AirTags, which are right around the corner with some special new capabilities. We have some intel on Apple Watch Series 9. The Apple Watch Ultra version 2. We're going to talk a little bit about Apple's financial call, not a ton because I know that a lot of people find that boring, but we'll just talk about the interesting bits. We will also do a how to get a CarPlay system going in your old cheap vehicle for cheap and fast. This is the El Caney way. Did he write this story?
He did.
He did.
I can't believe it. He wrote a story. Was this written recently?
Proof of life.
Oh, well, not really, because you could have just used his byline. Every time I hear about El Caney, it always comes from you, Lewis. Always some update from Lewis. Never actually talked to El Caney. I guess I did talk to him in Slack a little bit, but didn't hear his voice. It was just text. It'd be awful easy for you to log into his account.
I would never do such a thing.
I know. And then we have, finally, we're going to wrap up with a story about how Griffin uses his old Apple Newton in the year 2023. I didn't know you had a Newton, and I didn't know that you could still do anything with it. So that's cool. We'll look forward to hearing about that. Let me go ahead before we do anything else and thank Babbel for supporting this episode. Lewis, let me ask you a very serious question. You ready?
See?
Wie gefällt dir meine Podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like it?
Oh, it's the best.
Really?
Sehr gut.
Wow. Sounds like someone's been using Babbel. Well, for those of you that aren't fluent in German with perfect German accents like Lewis and I just asked him, how do you like my podcast, Herr Wallace? In German, learning German has been a lifelong dream of mine. I actually have a lot of relatives that came from Austria. And although Austrians would never tell you they speak German, they tell you they speak Austrian. And it's like, it's just German, dude. And there's like a few different words, but it's pretty much just German. Well, if you've wanted to learn a language, you should check out Babbel. Science says our ability to learn new languages peaks when we're children. That's definitely true for me. Like many things. Peaked when I was a child. But since you can't go back to being a 6-year-old, at least not emotionally, I guess physically, but emotionally like Lewis Walls, we've got the next best thing, Babbel, because with Babbel you can start speaking a language in just 3 weeks. Why Babbel, you ask? Because it works. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for a private tutor or fooling yourself with language apps that are little more than games, boom, shot across the bow.
Wow.
I know. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are designed by over 150 experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Babbel is designed by real people for real conversations. All of Babbel's tips and tools for learning a new language are approachable, accessible, rooted in real-life situations, and delivered with conversation-based teaching, so you'll actually be able to use it. And best yet, you can get 55% off Babbel.com/CultCast, and that's spelled BABBEL.com/CultCast to get signed up. Rules and restrictions may apply. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners when you get started right now. That is 55% off your subscription to Babbel, but only for our listeners at Babbel.com/CultCast. What language do you want to learn, Lewis? I figured German would be your one because you like to wear the lederhosen and dance around in the streets with your large...
Do you like the Oktoberfest?
I know you do.
I studied a lot of German in high school and college, and I'm actually trying to learn Italian now.
Oh, Italian. Well, that makes sense for you because you want to retire to Lake Como someday, don't you?
Why not? Sure.
You could be a guy on like a boat that ferries people across the water.
like Charon or whatever his name is.
Who?
The one who wasn't it Charon the across the river Styx?
I have no idea. And by no idea, I mean I literally don't even know what you're talking about.
Really? Come on
not
now.
Even a clue. No.
The
Do you,
river
Griffin?
Styx?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but is that like a movie?
Don't make me search for it. No, it's
Please don't search. Well, actually,
Charon in Greek mythology, the son of Erebus and Nyx, whose duty it was to ferry over the river Styx and Acheron, those souls of the deceased who had received the rites of burial.
In Akron? So the souls of the deceased
Yeah,
go
in
directly to
Akron. Yeah, Northern Ohio. Yeah.
You've been banished to Akron.
That sounds about right.
The Cuyahoga River was on fire back then. So
Was it? It sounds like
in
a...
the 70s, yeah.
Oh, too much methane?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Ohio's pride and joy.
Hey, our rivers are hot.
Hot real estate. Hot lakeside property. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into this because our viewership are dropping precipitously here. Let's talk about next generation AirPods, or not AirPods.
AirTag. Quit
AirTags.
saying AirPods.
So just
You
this
said
might
AirPod in
be,
the tweet. Go change it.
This did I really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, dude. I need to change that right now. So just for those of you that are tuning in, I have been on a bus literally all day. I literally don't ever ride the bus, but I had to make a quick comeback to Seattle from literally across the entire state. I've been in Idaho for the last, half week at the lake, just getting a Buster Heine bronze tan going. And I came back today on a bus, but I was literally on a bus all day. And best yet, I was almost on the bus yesterday. I got up super early to get on the bus yesterday, and then I missed the bus by literally mere minutes. Changed, Lewis, changed. Let's dive into the story.
Do the blue.
Let's dive into the story. Apple preps second-generation AirTag tracker with AR capabilities. Now, you know what's funny about this story, and one of the reasons I want to talk about it, because I made a video on my YouTube channel like a year ago, and I showed off all these patents that Apple had filed that allow you to use AirTags for all these like super bizarre, outside of normal use case scenarios where it would measure your golf swing. You could attach them to your spine so it could like measure your back movement while you're swinging at stuff. And I think that the title of the video was something like Apple has plans for AirTags that they're not telling us about. And so I think this is interesting because when I mentioned this story to Lewis, he's like, "They're going to add AR." He's like, "How's this going to work?" I'm like, "Well, that's what I thought it'd be interesting to talk about here, Lewis." So let's dive right in. So the Apple AirTag tracker sells well enough that an updated version is in early development, according to a reputable analyst, and it might include AR capabilities that were rumored years ago. The tiny tracker has reportedly been selling in the millions since the product launch in 2021. I mean, I love mine, man. I attach them to everything. Let's see here. The tracker was apparently an experiment for Apple. It wasn't sure how popular it would be. It turns out it's so popular. Well, it's very popular. The company hasn't revealed how many units it's sold to date, but analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, says that 20 million shipped in 2021 and 35 million shipped in 2022. And now a follow-up is in development, Kuo said on Wednesday. AirTag 2 will likely go into mass production in Q4 2024. Where's the actual AR part? Let me just read this part. Years before AirTag hit the market, code found in iOS 13 indicated that Apple intended to use augmented reality to make finding lost items easier. Leaks hinted at virtual balloons that could be placed in the real world to pinpoint an item's location on an iPhone. But the AR tool for AirTag never emerged so far. But now Kuo predicts that AirTag 2 will be able to work with Apple's upcoming Vision Pro AR headset. Well, I'm glad the headset will be able to do something besides just watch movies. You guys made me cut that piece, but I feel like I have to mention it. That Apple's doing the Vision Pro workshops, and no one's showing up to them.
For the developers.
For the developers, yeah. So that developers can like get their questions answered. And we don't have to dive into the whole story, but I thought that was actually very interesting. I was like, you're holding these workshops, and the developers can't be bothered to even show up to these workshops.
I had a few qualms with that story. Like, I think it was worth cutting because I think it was a little overblown.
Yeah.
Because as a registered developer, I went through the process of like applying for one, and I heard from other people that like when you're filling out the initial questionnaire, it asks you, you know, whether you have an app ready for Vision Pro or whether you're still working on it. And you can answer, I don't have an app yet. But then in the follow-up, when you're actually selected, they ask for screenshots of the app.
Oh.
So first of all, the application process isn't very easy or, you know, straightforward. And secondly, it's only been a couple months, so developers don't have a lot yet. And they're only in like 5 cities across the entire world, like Cupertino, London, I want to say like Singapore and like 2 other countries.
Maybe Naples.
That's pretty much it. So
yeah,
it's really hard to get to them.
Cupertino is, I mean, in Silicon Valley, like you would think if anyone was going to be going to have a packed house, it would be that one, you know?
Yeah.
So I find that a little
they
curious.
just opened it like a week or so ago, right? I mean,
yeah, and I think this is going to be an ongoing process. So I wouldn't be concerned about they're not packing the whole house on this thing.
Well, I mean, that story's not even connected to this one. I just thought it was interesting because I was like, oh, no one's showing up, and no one seems to care about these stories whenever we talk about them. And now they're adding potential AR features to the AirTags too. The thing that I would love them to do with AirTags, more than augmented reality, which I probably would never use, is make them super thin. And then I would love the AirTags Thief version. So instead of having AirTags be something that you use purely for finding things that are lost, because I think that is useful, but I want to have a version that lets you find the criminals who stole your stuff. That's the version that I want. And it stays silent, so it doesn't warn the criminal that you're coming to get him with some kind of blunt weapon, like a shovel or something.
wow.
I mean, there are other geo trackers that you can use that are actually better for that. Like that's kind of a qualm that I have with all of these news stories about like how people are using AirTags to like track and stalk people. Like, I mean, this isn't a technology exclusive to Apple. You can buy other Bluetooth trackers that do pretty much the exact same thing. So, I mean, if that's something you want to do, you could buy a different product, although it wouldn't be as nice as AirTags and it probably wouldn't be as easy to find.
Easy to use, yeah. Yeah, there was one that we talked about a while ago. I can't remember the name of it, that actually used cell signal. So you could track it that way, and obviously that would be way more reliable than AirTag, because AirTag, if there's no Apple device present, then it doesn't know where it is, and you won't know where your device is. But if you're pretty hardcore about finding your stuff, there are trackers out there that use cell service that you can always know where they are no matter what. But the AirTag is so cheap, it's like so easy to buy a 4-pack and just put them on everything. So it looks like that's going to be part of the new offering for AirTags is AR capabilities. Like I said, I did a video on this a while ago, and the patents that Apple had filed allowed you to use AirTags to track your motion in all these different ways. I mean, they're super accurate from a tracking perspective. So you could see how you could use them in like a sports scenario to measure your bat swing or something. Like these are patents that Apple already has in place. And I'm sure they're looking for ways to make AirTags more useful aside from just finding your lost hair dryer, Lewis, right? How many times have you found your hair dryer thanks to the AirTag?
That's hilarious because just yesterday my wife said, "Where's my hair dryer?" I'm like, what kind of a question is that? And then to have you ask that, mention the same thing. I mean, that's an uncanny coincidence.
I've been speaking to both of your wives, see? Yeah, I just figured that your wife starts a lot of questions with, "Where's my?" Because it's like from the discussions I've had with you, it seems like things get lost a lot, and it's your responsibility to find those things.
Yeah, no comment.
I don't want to get you in trouble. My kids do that all the time. They'll walk in. That's one of the things that I think is hilarious about my kids, about probably most kids, is they'll lose something, and they'll walk up to me, and they'll be like, "Where's my water bottle?" I'm like, "I don't know where your water bottle is. Where did you put your water bottle? It's probably in the place that you put it." And then my son in particular gets all defensive. He's like, he's 3, by the way. "I don't know where it is. I didn't put it anywhere." And then I'll walk into the room to help him, and in less than 2 seconds, I spot it. I'm like, it is literally right there on the table. You didn't even bother looking for it. You just came to me for you're being so lazy that you didn't even bother to look for it with your own eyes. You just came right to me, and then you were offended when I told you it was your responsibility.
You see, when you find it so easily, you're just perpetuating the idea in their heads that you are omniscient and you know everything.
You made a good point. So next time he asks, I'm literally going to just say nothing and not even acknowledge his presence until he gets so frustrated that he marches away and just finds it himself. All right, let's see here. We got some other stories about other Apple hardware. We got some Apple Watch 9. You got the good stories here, Lewis. Apple Watch 9, Ultra 2. Are you finally going Ultra, Lewis?
I might have to, man.
I consider you to be an Ultra man. And
I love that show.
American Ultra?
Ultraman.
Oh, Ultraman? I guess
Yeah.
American Ultra was a movie.
Yeah,
What
I
is
don't know that.
Ultraman? Is that some show from like the 70s or something?
It's like some 60s Japanese cartoon.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I ever had the pleasure.
Well,
of
not
watching
a
that.
cartoon, but it was goofy.
Okay.
But I loved it. Loved it.
Okay, take it away, Lewis.
Yeah, so my favorite Apple leaker, Shrimp Apple Pro, tweeted out Tuesday about possible new pink aluminum color for Apple Watch Series 9 and a black titanium case for Apple Watch Ultra 2. Supposedly we would see these this fall, right? No big design change to Apple Watch, according to, what a surprise, according to Shrimp Apple Pro. Although new chip inside and get this, a slightly smaller box. Wow, it's going to come in a smaller box. Everybody's excited about that, right?
Hey, I like portability, Lewis. I like portability.
Yeah, give me a smaller box.
knock it.
Apple likes to shrink the size of the box. Let's see. New pink color supposedly is going to come in the aluminum version of Apple Watch Series 9. Join existing colors silver, product red, starlight, and midnight. Let's see. I think the more exciting thing is the Apple Watch Ultra coming out, second version. No change, but this black titanium color.
Oh, dude.
That's in the mock-ups. I don't know if you've seen the mock-ups. But
I'm looking at the mock-up right now.
It
I'm
looks
literally looking at
awesome.
It does, but I have to say
that looks awesome.
it doesn't look good with that orange button. Lewis.
Halloween, baby.
God, that orange button, it doesn't look bad on the silver version or the titanium version of the Ultra, as I'm trying to demonstrate here, which I probably should give up trying. There we go. You kind of see it. But on the space gray, it just looks goofy.
You don't like it, huh?
No,
You don't like the
actually,
black?
I would go.
Maybe
I would go further and say I actually hate it. I
Maybe
really
they'll go
don't
red.
That
Your
would be
favorite.
worse. That would be worse. They should have showed the red first, and then been like, "How about orange?" And I'm like, "Okay, that's doable," because the red would have been a lot worse. But sorry, take it away. I keep interrupting you. So rude.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much all there is to this rumor. Supposedly the Apple Watch Ultra will remain in the sort of natural titanium color, which, to be honest, that's one of the things that underwhelmed me about the Ultra. I was not that thrilled by that color. I've seen it in person a couple of times. I just every time I see it, I'm like, it kind of looks. It almost looks unfinished, like metal was stripped down to like the color was stripped off of metal, right? I mean,
You're talking about the
maybe
Ultra
that's-
right now?
yeah.
Come on.
I
It
don't.
looks
It
finished.
just kind of is like a putty gray. I don't know, man.
I like it.
I don't
It's got
find it
like
that
a very
exciting.
nice matte finish. It doesn't look unfinished to me at all. I mean, it does look like unfinished. The color looks unfinished, but the actual finish on the watch, I think it looks beautiful.
See, to me, like unadorned aluminum or like, shiny silvery metal is like the quintessential Apple color to me. Like that is the pure Apple color. And like whenever they do, colors like dark gray or gold, that feels like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I got into Apple during the Intel era when everything was unadorned silver, but that just feels like the most Apple to me. So like, I'm glad that people have the black. And you joke about the box, but like if you ever ordered an Apple Watch Series 3 or an original Apple Watch or the early ones, the boxes that they mailed those in were obscenely huge
Oh, I know.
for being
I'm
one of
familiar.
their tiniest products. Like, I think that's actually kind of a good thing in my opinion. I'm moderately excited about that,
About the box.
believe it or not.
I save all my boxes. I am a box hoarder. Terrible
Yeah.
box hoarder. So
Do
for
we need
me,
to talk
actually,
about that?
I
mean,
don't have a problem, Lewis.
My wife thinks I'm sick.
Oh, you do it too.
Yeah.
I know for sure Griffin does it. Griffin saves everything. He's never thrown away a box ever. Well, they're such beautiful boxes. I actually had a real hard decision to make. I was cleaning the Colt Command Center here, and I had the boxes for the original HomePods, right? And I was like, one of them's dead now. Well, we'll see about that. I had to unplug it to give it some more time to reset itself.
In stasis.
But the other one I still have, and I love them so much. And I was like, yeah, I don't need the boxes. So I threw them into the recycle bin.
Wow.
And then
I feel like if you have multiples of a box, I can forgive throwing away some boxes.
yeah, can you?
Just keep at least one,
Well,
You
about
threw away them
30
both?
about 30 minutes later, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. So then my wife sees me out there frantically digging through the recycle bin. They're back in the Cult Command Center. I brought them back.
Ah,
I couldn't do it.
so sad.
I couldn't get rid of it. Couldn't get rid of them. I mean, those videos, I had such massive views on my channel from those videos, and I loved those two products so much. I'm hoping I can revive the other one. Maybe eventually I'll get rid of them, but I feel like they might be worth something someday. Am I right, Griffin? You just never know. Someday they might be worth something, like we just saw with the next computer. I don't know.
I don't know. It's
if
a
it works
box.
that long. Yeah.
I mean,
But it's
even
always
one of
worth
the
more if you have the box.
even the worst selling Apple products still sell orders of magnitude more than the next computer ever did.
Yeah, that might be true.
So there's going to be a higher supply.
But you never know. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, there are video games that I used to sell in college that I maybe got $15 to $20 for, and now they're worth $200-300. Like old school Nintendo games and Super Nintendo games, I used to sell those in college, and they were a great business, and now they've just gone up in value, exponentially. So you just never know. All right, well, there are your Apple Watch updates. So
Talking
some
about
new colors.
businesses
Oh yeah.
and values going up,
Uh-huh.
we've got Apple's
Oh, my
third
goodness.
quarter
What
financial
a segue.
quarterly results.
Well,
Apple
actually,
announced.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm loading the webpage as you speak. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. So, Apple announced 1 billion people now subscribe to Apple services, although revenue decreased slightly during the June quarter, the third time that's happened in a row. The Wall Street consensus was for revenue to come in at $81.8 billion, and that's exactly what happened, which is 1% down compared to last year.
Let me look at
It's been going down slightly since the COVID year when everybody bought computers. It's been slightly down every year since then. So the trend continues.
Apple stock price as you go through this year.
Oh yeah.
You might not want to look until the show's over.
That's actually not that bad. Sorry, go ahead.
Like the fact that it's going down at all, even though it's 99% the same value as it was last year, is kind of ridiculous to me. But like, I don't understand Wall Street. Quarterly earnings per diluted share were $1.26, which is up 5%, which is slightly above Wall Street expectations. And we have some quotes from Tim Cook here. We are happy to report that we had an all-time revenue record in services during the June quarter, driven by over 1 billion paid subscriptions, and we saw continued strength in emerging markets thanks to robust sales of iPhone. So we talked about this briefly, I think, a few weeks ago, or maybe we didn't. The whole overall smartphone market is in a decline right now, but that's mostly not affecting the iPhone, in part because it's being boosted by all of their, quote, emerging markets. Like Cook noted, June quarter results were records for iPhone sales in India, Indonesia, Mexico, the Philippines, Poland, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates. It's a lot of countries. iPad sales were down 20%, which I can understand.
Oh, dang. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
The iPad lineup is, in my opinion, in kind of a bad spot. Like, if you have $600 to spend on an iPad, you have like 4 different products that are in that price range, all of which have like just very slightly different compromises to each other. So I can kind of see why iPads aren't doing so hot right now. Macs are down 7% compared to this time last year, but improved compared to last quarter, probably driven by like back to school summer sales. They just had the new MacBook Air and such. Any comments on their declining hardware?
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, everything's down everywhere. People are hesitant to spend money right now. People are worried about their jobs. We're coming down off the COVID, the mega COVID wave of purchases, but that's fine because it's setting us up for a big September, and and a big holiday season. Yeah, Lewis.
Well, it's also what Apple loves to call a tough compare, right? Because back then everybody was buying everything, and all these things were coming out, and they're a little bit of a victim of their own success just because they've done so well, a year ago or a quarter ago. I don't know. It's weird. I like they're talking about so many billions of dollars in revenue. And it's like, oh well, it's down a smidgen because they sold. They had a wildly great quarter a year ago, right? So.
Well, I thought what was interesting, I don't think we have any of the actual numbers here. Oh, no, driven over 1 billion in paid subscriptions, which, is in the title.
1 billion, not just subscribers, but paid subscribers to their
well,
services.
they're definitely milking my nips as hard as they possibly can. I hate it. But I am happy you all are doing it because I have a lot of Apple stock. So get those subscriptions in. Have you tried Apple Music? Boy, oh boy, is it great. You should subscribe. But as hardware sales are going down or as they're having supply chain issues, they're making up for it with all of these juicy subscriptions that they have everyone on. And the stock price is down, not a ton actually. So I think a lot of people were kind of expecting this. Apple did a good job prepping people to know what was going to be coming, so it didn't affect the stock price as much as it probably would have otherwise. Their stock price has also been going almost straight up for the last 6 months. So they're at an all-time high still. I mean, the last time I checked, before just now, I should say, it was like 181 or something, and now I think it's at let me pull this up. I'm not 181, 193, and now it's at 187. So it has dropped a little bit. I'm looking at my stock value here, which is what I was talking about earlier. So, it was worth 181,000 about. And now it's worth 178. So college is off the table, but we might be able to make a recovery in September, October, November, depending on how all of you do. Like, do you want my kids to go to college or not? That's what you need to ask yourself. Buy a new MacBook Air. Take advantage of some of the subscriptions that Apple has available. Apple TV Plus. Have you watched Silo? Lewis and I loved it. I've been trying to watch Foundation. The first episode, fantastic. Second episode, completely boring. I was shocked at how fast that went downhill. I'm going to keep trying, though. But that second episode was really a stinker. So, and they just came out with season 2, didn't
2.
they?
Yeah.
Have you been watching it?
No, I'm not that far ahead.
Okay.
Way behind. Way behind.
I mean, so much to watch, so little time to watch it. So I'm not super worried. But
So looking ahead at the next quarter, as you alluded to, we have a quote from CFO Luca Maestri. We expect our September quarter year-over-year revenue performance to be similar to the June quarter, assuming that the macroeconomic outlook doesn't worsen from what we are currently projecting today for the current quarter. We expect iPhone and services year-over-year performance to accelerate from the June quarter. So they're projecting overall they're going to perform about the same as this quarter, but iPhone and services are going to continue to climb. As you know, they're coming out with the new iPhone in the fall, and they're
yeah,
continuing
I
to
saw
drive
a story that
services more and
said
more.
that people aren't as excited about iPhone 15 as they were for iPhone 14. I mean, I guess that's because you had Dynamic Island, but I'm pretty excited about iPhone 15. I think it's going to be a great phone, but hopefully I'm not the only one out there because, like I said, I got hundreds of thousands of dollars writing on this.
Well,
So,
this year,
yeah.
we have the benefit of a wildly, completely, totally new design with marginally larger rounded corners
Yeah, right. Well, that is new, right? So that is true.
and slightly, and a margin around the screen that's decreased by 1 millimeter.
Hey, I'll take it. I hate margins. I was looking at my iPad today as I was riding on the bus. I was like, look at these gigantic margins all around the screen.
That's what I was trying to
Thank
say.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
They're like a half inch. So, I'm up for them to shrink that down a little bit. All right, is there anything else to talk about here? We don't need to go on too terribly long about Apple financials. And speaking about financials, I want to give a very enthusiastic thank you to Mooper-san, who gave us a $1.99 super chat. Look at that. $2. Look how easy that was. Thank you, Mooper-san. He says, hi, guys, love the show. Actually, he said, hi, love the show, guys. Well, we appreciate that. And we got a bunch of people here in the chat. Mooper-san also wrote something. I'm going to guess that's Japanese. We got Steve here. He says down 2.74%. I don't know what that means. Is that the stock price? MacBook Fo says they need a Mrs. D cam that's on the whole time. Now that's an idea right there. We'll look into that. We got Maximiliano Lorenes. Oh, Maximiliano Lorenes. I remember you. I struggle. I try to say your name perfect. I don't get it every time, but I think I'm close. All right, look, before we move on, we got a couple things we need to talk about here. Lewis, you want to do the giveaway, right? But before you do that, I want to say thank you to Squarespace for supporting this episode. Squarespace.com/CultCast. I've been talking about Squarespace for about 9 years, maybe longer. And I've probably been using it that entire time myself to host my e-commerce site, Squarespace, cultcloth.co, which sells the most premium grade cleaning cloth that you can get your hands on for your glasses, your iPhone, your iPad, your Apple devices. And when I first was setting up the website, I had no clue what I was doing. I just dived in there and I was like, let's see here. How do I make this thing look good and handle hundreds of orders per second without having to bring in some senior advanced developer? And I was pleasantly surprised how easy it was. Now, I host an e-commerce site. You could do the same thing. You can get it set up in moments. You can dial in all your products, all your pricing. You can set up an email subscription list. You can set up a website that allows you to have people book your time. You can start a members-only area where people can pay to be part of your community. There's just so many different ways to make money with Squarespace. You could sell digital and physical products. I haven't come up with any ideas for digital products yet. Although I was thinking that we could do like a CultCast Apple Watch face pack where we create our favorite watch faces and then sell it in like a zip file for like $4 or something. Boom! That's a freebie. We could probably do that. Don't mention it to El Caney. He'll try to steal it. So we could do something like that. I don't know. But whatever idea you have, you can host it and power it with Squarespace because they make it so easy. And they integrate with all sorts of services that you can run your business more efficiently. I mean, like I said, I always say this. Cold Cloth is a set it and forget it business. I hope Ron Popeil doesn't sue me for saying that, but it's true. Once you got it set up, it just runs itself. I don't even have to do anything. Like literally, I just see orders come in, and I'm like, oh, there's another order. Oh, there's another quarter. I mean, every second, hundreds. Like I said, I could barely even keep up with demand. And if that's the lifestyle that you want to have, I mean, first you got to come up with a product idea. That's going to be the first step. But once you have that, squarespace.com/CultCast, or maybe you just want to promote your skills and make yourself look really great online for prospective employers. I think that makes a huge difference. I've done a lot of hiring. If you have a website and you put yourself out there and you have like your skills enumerated there with like a great looking background or a video like Squarespace allows you to do, that builds a brand. And now you're not just a person with a resume, you're a brand. And now they're considering hiring you for that reason. So check it out. Build the website, see how you like it. Squarespace.com/CultCast. If you like what you have after the trial is over, use code CultCast at checkout. You'll save 10% off your first purchase. And if you do a year of service like I do, you get an additional discount and a free domain name, squarespace.com/CultCast, and use offer code CultCast at checkout. Lewis, do you want to do a giveaway real quick? Do we have a giveaway, Lewis?
Yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on it. It's the same giveaway as last week. It's still going. You got a few more days to enter. It's the magnetic envelope sleeve for iPad Pro from Harber London. Remember this thing? It's gorgeous. It's made of full grain leather
and leather to be full of grains
and 100% wool felt on the back and inner sleeve. You can see it's got a little magnetic holder there. It's a wonderful thing to put your iPad Pro, excuse me. They retail for $118. We're giving away one of them. To enter this giveaway, like all of our giveaways, just go to the cultofmac.com website, scroll down to the giveaway area, click on the link there. You find multiple ways to enter. All you got to do is like look at a Twitter page or an X page. What's it called? An X page. Sign up for a newsletter, which I always like to tout the newsletter, man. You sign up for our Cult of Mac Today newsletter. Leander writes this thing almost every single day. Occasionally I have to fill in for him, but almost always it's Leander writing it. And it's free. You sign up, you get a free email every day with something special from Leander, as well as the top stories of the day. So I encourage people to enter the giveaway, and I encourage them to sign up for that newsletter, Cult of Mac Today.
And you should be signed up for the newsletter anyway. It's the only way to read anything by LK. It's the only thing he ever does anymore. It's literally the only thing he does all month long.
Well, that's funny because it's not the only thing he does.
Well, I mean, he also drinks, gets in bar fights. That's true.
Oh, jeez.
I forgot about those things. It's been a while. What else has he got going on, Lewis? He rides his bike around San Francisco.
He spent a fair amount of time figuring out how to put CarPlay in his old Range Rover.
Oh, boy. Look at this segue. What a segue. Is that the next story? Yeah, we should just move on. I'm not even going to talk about this.
I'm just going to mention this real fast. This is the top story on our site this week, and Leander went and he took on a project. He's like, I need to put CarPlay in my car, and he if you read his story, he actually bought a CarPlay head unit, expensive head unit, put it in his car. Spent days, whatever. You know how fun that is, and then very shortly here in San Francisco, ripped off. So he's like livid, right?
Oh, wait, someone broke in and took it?
Yeah, it's shocking, hard to believe, right?
Wow, that's hilarious. I mean, that sucks, but that's, you always hear stories about people just getting robbed. Like, they're just standing there and the person just breaks their windows and takes all their stuff out of their car. Was he gone for it at least?
Yeah, the good news is he wasn't actually in the car when they broke into the car.
He wasn't at a stoplight?
Yeah. And then he bought another CarPlay head unit and it didn't fit his car. That's the other thing. You gotta always get the right one, right?
Dude, this is actually kind of interesting.
So
I have to
he
say.
decided the way to do it is to buy a cheap Android tablet, which of course he waited until he could find the absolute best deal he could find, and he bought a wireless CarPlay adapter, and just a garden variety MagSafe charger, wireless charger to charge the it's I guess an Amazon HD
Amazon
Plus
Fire
HD 8 Plus, right? So I think altogether he spent at most $150 for his CarPlay rig, right? And I just want to mention it's on the site right now. If you go to the most popular postings, you'll see it. Yeah, he has a lot of instructions, and there's information about how to pick what thing that you're going to use and why he chose that particular tablet and how you can find it cheap and also there's a couple of
duct tape a cheap charger to the back of it.
Right. Yeah. It's a good post, and it's
so
actually
hacked together. It's hilarious, but it works.
And the thing is, you can at the end of the day, you can take it inside with you or shove it in your glove compartment or whatever. So it's not as likely to get stolen if you happen to live in a crime zone like San Francisco.
One giant crime zone.
Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. He does still do stuff, and I thought this was a great little story. Very, very interesting. And if you haven't used CarPlay in your car, honestly, you don't know what you're missing. It's so awesome. I love it. Now, anytime I'm in a car that doesn't have it, I feel like so disappointed. If you get a rental car in a place where you don't know and it doesn't have CarPlay, oh my God.
Oh, dude, yeah. I don't have CarPlay in my car, but I would obviously love to. And anytime I've gotten to use it, it's so handy.
It is awesome.
I don't know if my wife would let me do this completely hacked together solution with duct tape and Qi chargers and all that kind of stuff. But I actually did not know. Well, because it's ugly, and you'd have to tape it to the front of your car dash. I think that'd be her primary reason.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part about it is like, does it fit in your car? How do you mount it in your car? Whatever.
Yeah.
But, and that's obviously you're on your own with that. But
yeah, well, I also share. So my wife and I only have one car. Isn't that crazy? For our entire marriage, we each had a car, and then when COVID happened, I was like, I never drive anywhere. I literally don't ever go anywhere. I go to the gym, I go to the grocery store, and then I stay at home and work. And sometimes I ride my electric bikes around. So, in fact, I usually ride my electric bikes around just to get some exercise. So I just stopped driving, and I had my car sitting there for probably 18 months, and I'd maybe put 500 miles on it in that entire time. So I was like, dude, I should just sell my car. I didn't want to sell my car because I don't like the feeling of not having a car and just being able to go anywhere. And I mean, I had to take a bus home from Idaho because I don't have my own car. Although we wouldn't have driven two cars anyway, so that probably isn't true. But we've gotten used to it now, and only having one car isn't nearly as inconvenient as I thought it would have been. And it's way cheaper to only have one car. So, although I do daydream about owning another car, but like something cool, like a Ford Bronco. Like if I can find a good Ford Bronco with a soft top in a couple years when they're being traded in by the people who leased them, that might be when I make my move. But for now, I'll just be riding around on my bike. In fact, after this podcast is over, I have to go pick up my dog, and I don't have a car. So I'm going to go with my electric bike and then have a basket on the front, and I'm going to
my God.
I'm going to try I'm going to try. So my wife sends me home. Dude, I don't want to go out on a tangent here. My wife sends me home, and she's like, can you do all this stuff when you get home? I'm like, I don't have a car. Like, what do you want me to do? And she's like, well, you have to go get the dog. And I'm like, with what? I don't have a car.
That's why God made Uber. Come on.
Like, oh, dude, I refuse. I almost took an Uber home today. But I was so pissed because I swear this happens to me every time, which just makes me mad. I will check when I'm like 5 minutes away just to see how much the Uber costs. And it's like, oh, it's, $10. And then I'm like, oh, that seems reasonable for a 2-mile drive. And then as soon as I get there, I do it again, and it's like, uh-oh, now it's 15. And they do that to me all the time. So when I check before I actually get to my location, it's way cheaper. And then as soon as I'm ready to actually book, it goes up 30%. And I know it's just their algorithm trying to do demand prediction. They're like, oh, well, now you really want to ride because we can see that you're not moving anymore. So now it's going to be a lot more expensive if you want to actually get home, which just pisses me off. Like all that price changing stuff. So I avoid Uber at all costs.
Wow.
Is it possible for you to book it in advance and just count that you're going to be at the right place at the $10 price?
Uber charges you a surcharge, an extra fee to do that. If you try to book ahead, because it's like a convenience fee. I don't know if they actually say that that's what they do, but they weave it into your actual pricing because...
Well, if the surcharge is less than the difference, then it will when you just buy it later.
Well, the other thing that happens, not to get on an Uber discussion here, but the other thing that happens too is sometimes I'll try to book it in advance, and they will say, we can't do that for you now. You'll have to try to book on demand when you get there, which I don't know why. Maybe that's just where the location that I was at, but I tried to do that, and they wouldn't let me. And you know why they probably wouldn't let me? Because they don't want to show me the real price, Griffin. They're like, we don't want to give you that real price. I'm just speculating. I have no idea. Please don't sue me. Let's see here. What are we on? Oh, you did the giveaway. Good. Did you
gotta scroll back up to the big AI thing.
Okay. I'll just mention this real quickly. I don't even know if people care about this. But, TC, he's trying to portray Apple as being in the AI game. I don't know about that, dudes. I mean, I hope that ends up being true. But Tim Cook says Apple or AI is absolutely critical to Apple products. Now, I'm going to guess that he means in the context of Siri and, predicting which app you want to use when you scroll down on your home screen to show you apps that you might want to load at certain times of the day, which they do, which actually does work, and maybe like parsing your text messages for calendar dates that you might want to add to your calendar. I don't know if he means anything beyond this. But let's see here. Let me just go to the story. Apple has been quiet about its plans for artificial intelligence. Yeah, real quiet. Even as rivals like Google and Microsoft has made headlines. I mean, dude, Microsoft they didn't buy. They entered into exclusive agreement with ChatGPT, which was a great move on their part. It's still not going to make Bing a thing, but, it will no doubt bring them business in many other ways. In fact, I know a guy whose responsibility it is. He's not the only guy, but he's one of the people whose job is to figure out how to monetize ChatGPT now that they have this contract with OpenAI. Let's see here. Tim Cook leapt to the company's defense on Thursday, pointing out that AI is already used. Did I call it? Is already used by many Apple applications. Oh yeah, that's what we mean. That's what we mean, Tim. We don't mean generative text and generative image AI. We mean being able to predict which app you want to open, when you scroll down. Let's see. Apple hasn't made AI headlines recently, mostly because it hasn't introduced a direct rival to ChatGPT. But CEO Tim Cook set out in a conference call with analysts and major investors Thursday to make it clear that his company isn't behind the curve on AI. It absolutely is. It absolutely, positively is. Unless they have some secret technology that he hasn't shared that they are ready to launch. But I don't know why they wouldn't be diving in now, because they're already so far behind. And the impression is that they're completely out of the game. We view AI and machine learning as core fundamental technologies that are integral to virtually every product we build, said Cook. I mean, this just kind of sounds like positioning. If you think about WWDC in June, we announced some features that will be coming in iOS 17 this fall, like personal voice and live voicemail. Dude, did I not literally just say this is what he was probably referring to? Previously, we announced life-saving features like fall detection and crash detection. When you respond, I don't mean to be mean, but when you respond this way, it makes me wonder if you even know what people are talking about when they refer to AI. I mean, all this stuff might use machine learning, but when we speak about AI, like colloquially, I'm going to just leave that word there. We're not talking about your ability to predict what apps we want to open and at what time, or parsing our voicemail messages. Like we're talking about generative text, generative image editing, generative coding. Like that's the stuff that everyone's excited about. Let's see. Is there anything else here that alludes to what Apple might be doing in the future?
Yeah.
Okay. Did I miss it?
You haven't got down far enough.
Yeah. All right. I'm scrolling.
One more paragraph.
It's in the show notes.
It's right there. Okay. So Tim Cook gave the analysts assurances that the generative AI revolution isn't going on without Apple noticing. Oh yeah, they're noticing. They're just not doing anything about it. They're like, wow, look at all these cool features, y'all. But nothing actually is happening at Apple. Quote, of course, we've been doing research across a wide range of AI technologies, including generative AI, for years. For those of you listening, I'm raising my eyebrow dubiously. We're going to continue investing and innovating and responsibly advancing our products with these technologies with the goal of enriching people's lives. And that's what it's all about for us. This is like the best non-answer answer for this topic that he could possibly give. It's like, well, we already use it. It's already available in all of our products. And don't worry, we're going to continue to do what we've been doing as we've been doing it for years to come. As you know, this is the last quote from TC before I'm going to move on. As you know, we tend to announce things as they come to the market, and that's our MO. And I like to stick to that. Okay, fair enough. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. He's probably a lot smarter than me, as are many of the people at Apple. So I was just poking a little bit of fun their way, but we certainly don't seem to see anything happening at Apple in this regard at all. And it's such a hot field right now. And it's such a mind-boggling field. Like, I keep up on AI news. It's coming out like a fire hose. You can't even keep up with everything that's happening. I mean, I follow Twitter accounts, and all they do is cover AI stuff. And there's so many updates that are happening every week now that it's like impossible to even keep track of all the different stuff that is happening in the world of AI. It is very exciting, and also somewhat alarming. And I'm extremely fascinated by machine learning and what you'll be able to do with it. I mean, the stuff Adobe is doing is completely bonkers. I mean, did I tell you guys? I'm going on another tangent here. I'm going to keep it short. Did I tell you guys there is a TikTok channel? There's a bunch of them, but there's one that I've been watching that will take 16:9. I think I mentioned this last week. 16:9 aspect ratio video from movies like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and then he will convert it into 9:16, which is like the vertical format that you see on TikTok, right? And the extra imagery from the top and the bottom that he's adding in is being created by generative AI, and it looks. I'm gonna angle my mic down to my table so you can hear me slam my hand for effect. It looks perfect, Lewis. Perfect. I mean, it looks like it was created by Industrial Light and Magic, which
this stuff's amazing.
It's unbelievable, and we're only like probably a couple years into this technology. It is mind-boggling. I know I say that every week, so I'm not going to go on longer than that, but you can barely even tell what's real anymore. Yes, Griffin.
I know you don't want to spend a lot of time on this story, but I just have to. I have to say that, man, I kind of regret giving this story to you now because I'm on Tim Cook's side here. Like, sure, Apple isn't making a text generating machine, and they aren't making like, image replacement things, because those aren't businesses that Apple cares about or that they're in. They're not going to bother trying to compete with all these other things because they're already doing a good job. These products already exist, and OpenAI and Adobe are already making the best bullcrap text generators and image fill-in services that the world can offer. So Apple's not going to bother competing with that. They're going to make useful features that people will get the kind of useful extensions of features that people already use every day in their iPhone, like the personal voice and live voicemail thing. Live voicemail, yeah, it's buggy right now in the beta. Like, we were talking about this before the show. It's been crashing. It's been crashing the phone app for Lewis and I. But that's going to be an incredible feature that people love when it's announced. Apple's not wasting their time on the stuff that doesn't actually. I don't know. I'm on Tim Cook's side.
And yet, I get what you're pointing. I think that's a valid point. And yet, they have Final Cut Pro, they have Logic. I mean, they have Pro apps, they have Pages. I mean, they have a lot of productivity apps that they could be weaving machine learning into, but they don't seem to be doing it. I mean, Final Cut Pro, they don't seem to be doing anything with it.
I think that's part of a broader conversation about how Apple doesn't care about their own Pro apps, which I agree with. That is also a problem I have with Apple. It feels like they can roll out these new features in like Final Cut Pro and Logic like once every 8 years, and then they just whittle it back down to a skeleton crew to like fix bugs, in every point release.
God, that's so sad. I mean, Final Cut Pro is such a great app. And I get it. I mean, Apple's bread and butter is phones and iPads, and so that's where they put the focus of all their engineering effort. But they have their hands in so many things now that it's hard for them to be good at all of those different things. It seems like their focus is just going to continue to be iPhone, which is probably why that's where all of their machine learning focus is going. But not that the live voicemail feature isn't cool, but for those of us that have pro products like Final Cut Pro and Logic, I'm sure there's got to be some use cases there that they could include, like Blackmagic. Blackmagic is iterating on DaVinci Resolve at a breakneck speed. I have no doubt that they're probably hard at work trying to integrate machine learning into DaVinci. You have Adobe integrating it into Premiere. They're integrating it into Photoshop already. Like the Photoshop beta with the AI stuff is mind blowing. Like the stuff that you can already do, and they're just getting started. And it just sucks to not see Apple enter those spaces. Now, to your point, that's not where their focus is as a company, so I get that. But they do sell those apps. I remember paying for those apps, and so and with Final Cut Pro for iPad, you can't even buy it. You have to subscribe to it, just like you would with any Adobe product. And Adobe is iterating and putting that stuff into their products. Look, I'm not trying to give a lecture here. I don't know. I don't really see any big newsworthy headlines in regards to AI from Apple. If they're working on something, maybe eventually we'll see something come out of Cupertino. Okay, hold on a second. Someone's saying that my mic level is way lower than Lewis or Griffin's, just to let me know. Thank you for that heads up. Somebody was complaining about that last week, weren't they?
I think I noticed that when I rewatched the live stream last week. Like on the live stream, your mic was quieter, but then on the podcast that we published, it was exactly the same level as both of us.
Oh, that's because I mixed the podcast. So I take all of our individual audios and then I mix them so that doesn't happen. So I'm going to try and boost it here. And actually, I'm going to do it this way. I don't know why that's happening, guys, because I literally have not changed anything. But I'm going to try and pump my my audio volume up here. And let me know if that fixes it. But I appreciate you guys letting me know because I actually can't hear it. For me, it all sounds exactly the same. Let's see. Should we wrap up with this last story here, Griffin? You want to tell us? Well, first of all, what
feel-good story of the week?
That's right. And also, what Apple stuff do you have? Because you do seem to actually have a whole lot of stuff. Every time we talk about any Apple product, Griffin's like, "Oh yeah, I got one of those. Oh yeah, I got one of those." And now I find out that you have a Newton, which I would argue is a pretty obscure device that many people don't even know about, and you have one, and it seems like you're actually using it.
Since you asked, I'm going to bring up my spreadsheet because, of course, I log my entire computer collection in a spreadsheet.
Oh my God!
There are currently now. Bear in mind, these aren't all computers because in this spreadsheet I also track things like the iPod, iPhones, Apple Watches. Like I'm using a pretty loose definition of computer here, but with devices I currently own, the spreadsheet is 41 items long.
Sheesh.
You have 41 now.
41 arguable computers, and I think about. I didn't start this as an Apple-specific collection, but I think probably just doing cursory glance, 3/4 of them are Apple products.
And how many of them? Sorry, how many of them are actual like old Apple machines, Apple computers?
The breakdown is, I think, around. Just because like the stuff post the year 2000 is easier to come by.
Yeah.
I think about 2/3 of it is after the year 2000, but 1/3 of it is like 90s and 80s stuff.
And you have 42 things, you said?
41 devices in my collection total.
So my intro was actually not far off.
The most egregious addition to my collection was last year when somebody was on Craigslist local in Athens, where I used to live, which is pretty rare. Somebody was giving away an Apple Cinema display, a 22-inch Apple Cinema display, for like $75, and also 3 Power Mac G5s, which I didn't want all 3 of them, but he was like, I need to get rid of them. I don't want to recycle them. So
take them. My wife is making me.
I took in these Power Mac G5s, and they're not the proudest addition to my collection because they don't work. They're like missing a bunch of parts. I need to fix them. And on top of that, during the move, they're some of the computers that got damaged in the move. So like they're all dented up, and
jeez.
I feel bad about it. But anyways, earlier this week, there was the 30th birthday to the Apple Newton. If you're not familiar, this was their handheld stylus operated like tablet that they made in 1993. It was the closest they could get to a smartphone or like a mobile computer back then. You could like take notes with handwriting recognition. You could like make drawings. It had a calendar, contacts, and to-do lists. And that's pretty much it. But, people had lower standards in 1993.
That's all you needed.
Especially for
1993, what
mobile
else
computing.
did you need?
Yeah, what else were you doing on a computer? So like the first Newton wasn't very good. It was famously made fun of in The Simpsons and in like a Doonesbury comic strip that's like practically synonymous with the story of the Newton. But they did eventually get better. I think like the 2000, the Newton 2000 and 2100 were actually like pretty good, competent tablets. They even made a weird laptop version of the Newton, but that didn't prevent it from being killed by Steve Jobs. But years later, before I had an iPhone, I could get a Newton on eBay. So I got a Newton in like 2009 or so, and I have it right here.
Now I gotta look this up. Oh, look at that
Oh,
beauty, man.
you can see the reflection of our Skype window here.
Dude, that's cool.
But,
that is a seriously cool Apple artifact. Even if it didn't work, I still think it's cool.
It has a little pen that flips out from the top. You've got this little flippy screen. You have I have a keyboard accessory off screen. Unfortunately, because it's been sitting in a box for a few months since my move in early June, the batteries are dead. Otherwise, I would turn it on, all that.
Can you get replacement parts for it?
It just takes 4 AA batteries.
Oh, it runs on regular AA
Oh, wow,
batteries.
look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's got a battery
batteries.
caddy in it. Just pops right up.
Yeah.
That's actually cool because you can keep the thing running. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be able to use it anymore.
Wow. It's bigger than I actually thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
It's about what I imagined. It's
I don't
about
know
as
if I
big
have
as his
another
head.
object here that can use as a size comparison.
It's
but
about as big as about as tall and wide as a grown man's face.
There you go. I think the inner screen portion is a little larger than a plus-sized phone. But I don't know. I actually use this thing, as I wrote in the story. When I was in college in the early 2010s, before the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil had even been released, this was technically Apple's most recent device that you could use for digital note-taking with a stylus, which is crazy to think about.
Wow.
So I took it to a few lectures, and I quickly discovered that the handwriting recognition wasn't fast or accurate enough to keep up with my professors.
Terrible, huh?
But I used it as a studying tool. I would take down my notes on pencil and paper, and then before a midterm or a final, I would rewrite all of my notes from paper onto the Newton. And because the handwriting recognition is just in the uncanny valley of accurate and frustratingly wrong, I would find myself shortening and abbreviating my notes, which made me think about and process what I was analyzing and writing. So it was actually a surprisingly effective study tool that way. And then after college, I discovered that it is also really good if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Does it have an app or something that you can use to track Dungeons and Dragons, or did you just create a
No,
spreadsheet or something?
I very carefully recreated my Dungeons and Dragons character sheet in the standard notes app.
Huh.
And if you're not familiar, your character sheet is the most essential part of playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's it's several pages long, and you have all of these stats for your character for HP, Constitution, Perception, all this stuff. You have to keep track of lists of inventories, lists of spells, skills and abilities, and pages and pages of notes. And if you're playing in the right kind of campaign, the person running the game, the dungeon master, will come up with a bunch of custom special rules for things. I was playing in a campaign where the DM had come up with special rules for guns and pistols. They had their own quality level and rules for how you can fire them and how you can reload them.
That's just mind-blowing.
And if you're keeping track of all of this on pencil and paper, you're constantly erasing and rewriting stuff.
Oh, yeah,
but on the Apple Newton, you can just write new numbers on top of the old numbers and it'll replace it.
Okay,
you can page through all of your.
We got MacBook Foe asking, what do you suppose his favorite D&D class is? Q&A says, some kind of spellcaster wizard is my guess. Did he nail it?
No. Okay. I don't play spellcasters. I think I don't really understand how magic works in D&D, and I don't care to learn.
No, I'm with you there.
Sounds like a lot of complicated rules.
Well,
I like to play.
The whole D&D concept just sounds like a lot of rules, complicated rules. Although, there's a really popular show with Will Wheaton that they used to do on Twitch. I don't know if they still do it, where they would do D&D live, and they had this really amazing voice actor who would. Do you know what podcast I'm talking about? I think it was a podcast. Did you ever see it?
I don't know about Will Wheaton, but no, I've not seen it.
Okay, I don't remember the name of it. I wish I did. If the chat knows, let me know. Well, it was done by all these people who were in the geekdom realm, and they had this voice actor who would actually be the dungeon master for the whole thing. And I was like, whoa, this is actually cool, because he would create all these like voices for all the different characters that were a part of the game, and actually made it super interesting. But other than that, I have absolutely no idea.
Like
Critical
Role
yes,
is
that
oh,
must
okay.
have that must.
I
Have
didn't know
been
Will Wheaton was on that. I'd heard of that before, but I didn't know that it was with
I
Will Wheaton.
thought that maybe the ones that I saw he was on. I don't know if he was like a regular on there, but let me look at this up. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about this? I'm looking up the.
I don't know. I mean, if you're playing D&D with pencil and paper, an Apple Newton is much smaller than a stack of papers, and it's
Dude,
quick and easy to flip through.
I just love that you.
If you're interested.
Yes, it is Critical Role. Yes, that's it. Yeah, Matthew Purser. He's the dungeon master. This is the guy right here. Super talented guy. Let's see here. Matthew, is his name Matthew?
Thought it was Mercer. Yeah.
It is Mercer. Yeah, Matthew Mercer is. He is a voice actor. And he's best known for his work with Studiopolis, Funimation, Bang Zoom, and a bunch of other cartoons that I have literally never heard of. But he was the dungeon master. Super talented guy. God, I wish I was a voice actor. That would be such a cool job. But I can't do it. I don't have enough voices to make it work. But that would be a really cool job. I'm going nowhere with this. Somebody save me. What else do we got here? Oh, they're all voice actors. Really? Okay, so the entire clan on that show. Well, that's probably why that show is so interesting. I don't know. A bunch of voice actors all in the same room trying to outdo each other. Doesn't that just kind of sound annoying? You have a bunch of like actor types. They're all like vying for your affection.
That only sounds like 10% more annoying than what we're doing right now.
Actually, you know what? You make a good point. It's not much different, is it? Except they're talented. That's the main difference. Okay. Anyway,
oh boy,
I'm truly impressed, Griffin, that you're keeping the world of antiquities, tech antiquities, alive, and that you're figuring out ways to repurpose old tech garbage into fun devices that you can actually bring new life into. Because otherwise, aside from just being a cool, I don't know, decorative piece, all these Newtons, all this Apple stuff is just going to end up in the garbage. And they're too beautiful to end up there, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
They're just too beautiful just to be thrown away like a Dell laptop running Windows XP. Now, the garbage is where that belongs. But for Apple stuff, those devices, those deserve better. You just give me an idea. Well, there's a company that makes a really cool grid. They make really cool art pieces, I would call them, based off of different tech products, and they'll take like an iPod and they'll completely disassemble it, and then they'll glue the parts or adhere the parts to a board that explains what all the parts are. Like, it blows it all out. And I'm like, dude, it'd be cool to have something like that, but for old Apple products, not just like iPods. Like, I think that might be as far back as they go. Like, really old Apple products, like Newtons, or even like a mega size, like an iBook or something. Like something that is really beautiful, that doesn't really have a purpose anymore, which I guess is a lot of it. That's all I got. Do we have anything else? I've been on a bus all day.
Yeah.
Should we just go ahead?
You made it. The good thing is you made it.
I barely, dude. Like I said, I was worried when that guy kept giggling in my ear and muttering stuff. And some of the stuff he muttered, I was like, well, it's some strange stuff, man. Like, didn't make any sense. And he kept getting like real close to my ear, and I was like, is he trying to like get my attention or something, or is he just back there, giggling to himself? I don't know. I didn't know what to make of it, and I didn't want to like, I kept having visions of like all of a sudden just being stabbed, and what would I do if that happened to me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would not be good.
Because
bleeding
I'll tell you
out
what,
on a Greyhound.
that would be a terrible way to die. And I tell you what, I know that if I got stabbed and I was like, help, someone's stabbing me, not a single person on that Greyhound would have done a dang thing. Not a chance. They all would have just kept their head looking forward and just let me bleed out there. And then they would have eventually dragged my cold carcass off the bus at the next stop and probably just left it there. Well, if we got nothing else besides that, I think I'm going to go ahead and start the music. We've got some more comments in the chat. But I'm sorry, guys. We have no more time to read these. We've been going for like 75 minutes now. So that's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But you know what? The party continues. We're both on the new X, Me and Lewis fighting it out on the new X platform, re-Xing the most clever comments. I'm at Erfon, ERFON. Lewis is at Lewis Wallace. Griffin D. Jones. D. Griffin Jones. I always want to put the D in the middle. That's not where it goes. He's on there. You can try to find him. I don't know. He might be in private mode. I don't know, but I found him. I saw him there.
People still follow me, even though I explicitly say I don't tweet anymore. Follow me on Mastodon.
Okay, you should follow him at D. Griffin Jones on Twitter. Just hang out. Maybe he'll show back up eventually. But that's it. That's all the CultCast we have for you guys this week. But you know what? New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening, for hanging out live. Oh, it's a late show today, especially. And we'll see you guys next time. Yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to make it, man. With the giggler back there. And when he got off the phone, with his hand being the phone, I thought to myself, is this it for me? Is it going for me?
That's the disturbing part.
What if he gets
hand
mad?
talking.
What if he goes from being the giggler to the... I'm not sure what the word is for it. To the stabber. Because I feel like sometimes rampant giggling like that can churn sour. And now you're just mad. And I'm right in front of him. Take the...
He didn't have clown makeup on, did he?
Man, I was actually